friends. Welcome to meditation. Welcome to Earth. The mystery and the magic of the star tetrahedron, a symbol, and we'll be talking about symbols tonight and some of the spiritual references that are hidden within them. But this is a particular interesting symbol because it is both a factual and an energetic representation of the Christ frequency. The Christ simply means light, sunlight. And when, of course, Source first emanated, it created the upper triangulation of divine power. And then the lower triangulation was the mirror of wisdom, love, and action. And as the triangulations then moved in opposite directions, it created a vortex in the middle. You can imagine it spinning one way and spinning the other. In the very middle, of course, it created a vortex, an opening, called the jewel in the lotus. And from out of it, Source, the breath of spirit, the breath of God, if you will, flowed. And then as it touched the facets of the spinning star, it ignited into light. And so whatever was then streaming forth from out of the void, the mind of God, the mind of Source, was then illuminated by the Christ frequency so that it was now visual in manifestation. It is said that everything already existed within the mind of God, the mind of Source, but there was no light and no mechanism to manifest it, to make it real. And so that is why the monad, the one, created then the star tetrahedron to be the vessel of manifestation. Of course, more importantly, as Source streamed forth, it then differentiated into fractals of energy. We've talked about how if you take a hologram and there's this amazing image, three-dimensional image of in the hologram of something, and you shatter it, the tiniest little bitty piece has the image of the full hologram within it. So we might say symbolically that Source simply fractured itself into trillions and billions of pieces. And within each piece is the fullness of the entire hologram. And now we are going through the revelation, letting go of our limited thoughts, feelings, beliefs, emotions that cover over that perfect piece of the hologram we are. And as we do, then we become ever more knowing and unified within the expanding, if you will, mind of God. So the mind of Source oneness, it already exists, but if you are shrouded with it, with some veils of limitation, you're not giving yourself permission to access that higher knowledge, that higher wisdom. And you're not giving yourself permission because you are learning through free will how to use all of your oneness with Source as a loving creator being. If each of us was given all of the power of the mind of Source and we weren't harmonized and balanced, kind of a funny story, but I remember telling in one of my workshops, you're going down the road and you have all the power of the divine to simply manifest, and someone cuts you off and you yell out, asshole. Well, all of a sudden there would be this giant brown spot in front of you that would be outrageous. Who's calling?
Lisa. She says she's not able to open the live stream link.
There should be two links. She should look for the second link. I mean, there's 7 people on board already, so I don't know. It's much like a computer. I remember when my computer, I got my very first computer, it had 10 kilobytes, 10 little kilobytes. And it really couldn't do much because it wasn't giving itself permission to access the internet yet. But as computers developed and they become more memory, more fluid in their ability to connect through their chip software, they begin to expand more and more in the ability to connect into all that is. And now with your computer, you can literally bring up upon the screen Egypt or the jungles or information about food, literally anything almost within creation, you can bring it up on your screen. Well, it's the same way with you and I as small holograms of the divine. As we love ourselves more and work through our emotional basis of feelings of loneliness or fear or worry or frustration, and no longer emanate those out from us, we can be trusted with all the powers of heaven and earth. Again, a symbol. Trusted with all the powers of heaven and earth. And what that means, you are then truly begin to formulate the star tetrahedron, where there's the balance of masculine power, the focusing of the mind, which creates light, the heart of the divine feminine of imagination and feeling. And as those two qualities come together within you, within your consciousness, you have given yourself permission to simply focus upon something and then let light stream through it, and it magically appears out of thin air. This is, again, the symbol of loaves and fishes. Wine into water? No, let's go water into wine. Again, symbols, simply symbols that, yes, there are the abilities of those who have mastered their consciousness to create loaves and fishes, to simply manifest creation. You and I probably wouldn't know them unless we could vibrate at that particular frequency. The reason being, we might want to then give them our power or, have them in adulation, which has sometimes happened in the past. And then there's the power of giving ourselves away. So that's one of the most amazing symbols, the star tetrahedron. The other symbol is the breath. We know that when we are breathing in, we're literally summoning the breath of spirit from inside out. But it's not really breath. It is said, of course, the symbol, breath is life. Well, it's more than that. It's actually the source in its first emanation, literally manifested outwardly. And we here now in this outer realm or dimension are then feeling it as we're breathing in. But it's really from inside out. We are inside the void, breathing ourselves out into manifestation. So breath is life, another symbol. The other symbol that I think is really important is when we come to the ideas of really spiritual initiation and illumination. One of the main symbols, of course, is around the individual Christ, Jesus the man, who was literally able to manifest and literally hone and refine the star tetrahedron to have this sunlight emanating from him, the Christ frequency. And then he said, all that God is, I am. Well, he wasn't saying that I'm the only one, but when you open the doorway, all that God is simply the I am breathing through you. And then he said, the Father and I are one. Well, of course, if you are a piece of the hologram and you have revealed by letting go of all separation between you and Source, you're literally living within the ocean of one consciousness. And in the ocean of one consciousness, it's all that the Father is, I am. So these symbols are really quite important. There's information coded and hidden within. And then when we take the life of the man Jesus, it was an immaculate conception. Well, what does that mean? It means that his consciousness was able to reach down inside and literally find the small piece of the hologram within him, this Christ frequency. And he recognized that. It was literally then the birth of the Christ child, the Immaculate Conception. Not an outer symbol, but an inner symbol that when you begin to really move into your spiritual illumination, your meditation, your spiritual practice, you begin to realize I'm not just the ego, but there is something inside of me that literally is the divine being I am that was deposited there when mother and father prepared the form. And what was deposited there? Your soul literally took a piece of itself, a holographic piece, dropped it into time space. The Christ was within form, but it was asleep. It was dead to the world. But each of us, when we begin to awaken to our spiritual practice, we begin to realize, first of all, usually through reading and through understanding wisdom, that there is something profound within us that needs to wake up. And so that is the Immaculate Conception. We recognize it's within. The, of course, next symbol of that is then the birth of the Christ child. And what does that mean? It means that you are literally now able to begin to bring in that which is the soul through your meditation practice, the golden light of what you already are. And through your meditation practice, you're able to reach down into the womb in both men and women, the second chakra, which we call the inner child. We call it a child because from 0 to 7, it has a small body. But it's the Christ child. It's the piece of the soul that was deposited in time, space, into the body that mother and father prepared. And then as you literally are reaching down and beginning to fully recognize day by day this magical child, this is the birth of the Christ child. And over time, as you refine your practice, begin to let go of emotions, this energetic wave, this vibration begins to grow in and through you as you day by day become more the man, woman in Christ. And then comes the crucifixion. Well, what's the crucifixion? It's the ego or the personality is now symbolically put to death. But it's not really that we're destroying the ego. What we are doing in our work, we are so loving this childlike self, which is perfection and joy and happiness and magic. And as we love it, the ego is no longer needing something in the world to fulfill it, no longer looking for money or power or glamour or recognition or things of the world to fulfill the ego. It is quietly put to sleep through love. We call it the crucifixion because again, a symbol of the ego disappearing. But then, of course, there is the resurrection. And what is the resurrection? You begin to truly know and understand that within me is the star tetrahedron, that it is around me, that I'm really consciousness of source oneness, living, existing at the very center of that star tetrahedron, right at the doorway. And that which is the star tetrahedron is I am. The physical form is what I am creating right now to demonstrate myself within physical reality. So when we're doing the star tetrahedron, it's not like you're out here formulating it. You begin to realize more and more that I'm really here in the very center. As I'm in the very center here at the doorway, the star tetrahedron is my body. The physical form I touch is my body. And that which is divine, source oneness, simply demonstrated it to manifest within physical form and learn about three-dimensional reality, which is in expanding the possibilities of source oneness within the densest layer. We might call it the densest layer within the body of source. The densest layer within the body of source is materiality. Eons and eons and eons ago, it was simply hydrogen and helium that then came together and created this gaseous form, sun, which at the center was a star tetrahedron, and that was its body. But then as it wanted to give itself up to more possibilities, it imploded upon itself and then created materiality. And then as that materiality, that star system simply gave up its physical form as explosion into space, then all of the minerals were then manifest within reality. But that which was exploded was still the consciousness that was still knowing of its identity. It was still a form of consciousness that is simply giving up its body, materiality that it created. And why did it give of that body? So that other suns, other star tetrahedrons with gaseous forms around them could then gather that to them and begin to form planets and moons. And this even denser layer within the body of source oneness. But within each of those planetary spheres, at the very core, is sunlight. It is this hot magma that we call this inner core of Earth, but it is the consciousness, it's the Christed entity that is Mother Earth that is developing her form, just as you and I are developing our form. She is breathing. She is a conscious entity. She's within the body of this greater being, the solar logos, and together they are dancing in this solar dance through time space. Again, all symbols of manifestation increasing. And now we are the most fortunate because now we are consciousness, the mind of source, now present within this three-dimensional reality, the densest layer within the body of source, and we are given free will. Free will to learn through our development of self, through this Christed birth and resurrection and crucifixion, that I am the light. But through all of my travails and all of my working through emotions and feelings and powerlessness and hope, I fully refined myself to know that every moment is simply my joy to serve and to love. And thus you can be trusted with all the powers of heaven and earth to be a creator. And because you now have free will, that which is source has expanded in consciousness until humans and free will entities came along. All of creation simply followed this preset form and flowed through it just like water moving down a stream, always knowing where it was going, where the ocean of oneness it was seeking. But source in its development, again, you and I, in our development, we realized it would be very interesting to create free will beings, beings who could realize that they are now God incarnate within form and expand the possibilities of creation. Something that had never been visualized or thought of, or the possibilities of it, that each of us as now new creator beings could begin to create more magnificent layers within the body of source oneness. All just symbols of creation. But then we come to, I think, which is another interesting symbol, which is Mother Earth. So I just spoke about how Mother Earth is a conscious entity within the vibrational body of the solar logos, just as all the planets within our solar system, within the body of the solar logos, each evolving in a very unique way. And because we have water and form, we think, well, we're it. Well, all the planets are living entities, just very unique in their differentiation. But Mother Earth, because she has this core of intelligence at the very literally core of her creation, she also then is on an axis that's tilted. And so that axis, it wobbles. A very unique individual within the solar system, simply wobbling back and forth, which then creates the equinoxes: spring, summer, fall, and winter. But there's a much deeper symbol to those, because in the winter, at the winter solstice, all of this energy of Mother Earth, her consciousness, is somewhat now at the core of the planet. It's just like when a tree brings its sap down into earth. It's now winter time. The tree brings all of its sap down into the earth, and it gestates. It goes through what will be my next awakening. Well, in the very same way, Mother Earth has now gathered all of her consciousness at the very core of the planet. And on the solstice, December 21st, she awakens. And that energy begins to now pulse outward. Consciousness, light, intelligence, now pulsing out. And in the spring equinox, I guess the winter is the winter solstice. Spring equinox, usually around March 21st, 22nd, that consciousness literally touches the outer periphery of the planet, and spring is born. And from spring, that consciousness touching the planet, to the solar logos on June 21st, the summer solstice, that energy of Mother is now breathing out. And it breathes out to the very farthest essence of our planetary sphere. As this breathing out, that consciousness is enabled to commune with the sun, the consciousness of the solar logos. And the solar logos, having an ideation of what this whole solar system will evolve to be, then shares with the consciousness of Gaia Mother what is the next dispensation of this coming year upon planet Earth. And then on June 21st, the consciousness of Mother begins to breathe back down in and through, bringing that information back down. And then in the fall equinox, the fall literally touches Earth once again. And all the leaves and all the sap begins to retreat back down. And Mother Earth in her consciousness is breathing now once again down to the very core of Mother Earth. Or just like when you plant a seed and it's getting ready to germinate, it has all that information within it. It can be so small you can almost not see it, but it grows finally to be a giant redwood or a sequoia, all within that tiny seed. Well, it's the same with Mother Earth. She has now literally brought all that consciousness to the very core where this new seed of energy is being roiled around, and wisdom and information is gathered so that she can begin to know what is now the birth in this new dispensation. That at the winter solstice of the 21st, she then begins to breathe out this new information of evolution of the planet. It's been going on for 5 billion years. We think about 5 billion years, and of course, it's pretty inconceivable to we who have maybe 90, maybe 100 years. But because you don't remember your past lives and you don't really remember yet where you came from, you think, well, this is a short time, 90, 100 years. But once again, as you let go of your separation, your veils that keep you separate from literally existing within the ocean of one consciousness as the mind of Source, you begin to touch into all of these deeper aspects of creation that are unfolding as the solar logos, an entity. Our solar system, a living, breathing body. The planets, the chakras, so to speak, within this great solar logos being, each chakra developing, unfolding. But then there are literally thousands and thousands of solar systems within our galaxy. At the very core of our galaxy is a massive, massive black hole. It's not a hole. It's the jewel in the lotus. Literally, this entity that we call our galaxy, the Milky Way, a living consciousness through the doorway that it is, I am. It is literally breathed out consciousness manifested into star systems and solar systems and this great body of intelligence. It's just like within your body, there are literally trillions of cells, and everyone knows what it's doing. Some become liver, some blood, some bones, some hair, some nervous. Trillions. Well, it's the same with, hard to comprehend, but our galaxy. It literally manifested consciousness and created this great star system of living entities and beings to develop its body. It's just so massive. And here we are on this planetary sphere, 90, 100 years, we think, and we think it's incomprehensible. But once again, that's what we're doing. We're letting go of the veils of separation and giving ourselves permission to expand into the internet of all that is and know the mind of God. Be source oneness. But now as creator beings with free will to expand the whole internet of the cosmos in very unique and different ways. All symbols of creation. Yes, the religious institutions and the academy, the academia, they often bastardize these symbols into little profound ideas of this and that. But when you begin to reveal the deeper truth, you reveal that it's just consciousness dancing and playing with itself in an ever expanding universe. That's kind of the other interesting thing, is that they say our universe is expanding faster and faster and faster. It's already pretty gigantic, but here it is, faster and faster. It's because more and more consciousness is waking up within it. Hello, scientists. So one of the things, of course, that we do to hone and refine ourselves is our breath work, because it's not just breathing. It's the symbol of literally bringing source into this dimension. And we say bringing source into this dimension as though it's something other, but it's just us. It's just, we are the breath of source. We want to believe that we're out here in this form and position on the outer edge of source, but in fact, we are inside the doorway, creating the star tetrahedron, creating this body. And if our consciousness is out here looking at the body and looking at the star tetrahedron, we're then feeling ourselves separate. You exist at the doorway. And from that existence in the doorway, you have then manifested your unique Christ vessel, vehicle, the star tetrahedron. And through that, you have then created this form to purpose yourself within dimensional reality. And as you continue to identify with the form, there's pain and suffering, which is simply teaching you to find that which isn't yet loved within and love the self completely. Then know I am the divine. I am. So I'll take you through about 5 minutes of breath work. And once again, as you're breathing in breath, you're literally summoning source, that which you are, into this dimension. I want to encourage you to see yourself, feel yourself sitting here at the doorway. You're breathing yourself out, really. So we gently close the eyes and feel the body relaxing. And then feel the body expanding and letting go. It really is 99.99% space. You are simply holding it in a molecular construct to dance within time, space, because it's interesting. And breathing in from the open doorway, source arising forth. Gentle exhale, you manifest golden liquid sunlight flowing through every cell and tissue of the body and out all around. I am the light. I am the breath of life. Breathing I am to become liquid, living light. Breathing out. With the in-breath, see if you can pause for 3 or 4 seconds there at the doorway of the I am in the eternal silence of the void. They call that point between in-breath and out-breath 0 point. Nothing exists but the void. And then breathing out, liquid living light manifests. See if you can allow yourself to pause. Feel the expansive oneness of the void I am. Nothing other than yourself, I am. Zero point. Viscerally feeling the in-breath. It's flowing through my cells and tissues. Pause, becoming golden sunlight and peace. Breath is life. Breath is source. I am. I am the light. I am the eternal void. I am the wave upon the ocean. And I am the pure silence of the depth of the ocean. Breath is my instrument of creation. The entire universe is breathing. I am the breath of the divine. Another couple of slow, deep inhalations. Pause. I am the doorway. I am 0 point. There is only I am. And then very easily now, allowing yourself to come back in the moment, recognizing dimensional reality, the doorway I am. So I'll take you through the formulation of the star tetrahedron and then join with you. It's our great joy to create light on the earth, which expands and is co-creating with Mother Earth Gaia. We are part of the new dispensation of her breath. So once again, just by closing the eyes and feeling the expansion, the openness within the cells and tissues of the body, we bring our attention to the open doorway. I am the doorway. I have formulated the star tetrahedron, and I observe beneath the Divine Mother moving right to left. The upper triangulation of the power I am moving left to right clockwise. And in the center of the doorway where I am, Creator being manifesting the Christ vessel of light, the physical form I am, and breathing light into this dimension. I will join with you and we will create light activation. And then very easily allowing yourself to transform dimensions now. So I would encourage you in your meditation to see and feel yourself more and more that I am the doorway, rather than your consciousness out here observing the body and the star, to realize it's from within that I'm creating the star, and from the star I'm creating this body to purpose myself within dimensional reality for the joy of it. All right, my friends, thank you for coming and participating. We shall see you soon. Blessings.